Good morning, everyone. My name is Chase.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Desi.
And
Me llamo es stupid.
oh,
My name is Steven.
and we are the kcboys. And our guest today is somebody I think you guys will all be fascinated with. She is brave enough to not only document, but also share her incredible journey of weight loss with the world through social media, which I think is absolutely incredible. She's literally half the woman she used to be and has achieved life-changing results by simply doing hard things. Nikki, welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Hell yeah.
Thank
nice
you
to
for
have
having
you.
me. It's great to be here with you guys.
Yes, Queen. And where are you from, by the way?
I'm originally born and raised in Las Vegas, Nevada, but I live in Arizona right now.
Okay.
Oh, the warm weather.
Yes.
What's the temperature like out there right now?
Right now, it's about 55, 60 degrees.
Oh,
Must be
lucky.
not.
That's
the
tropical.
The other day when the Chiefs were playing, Nikki, Steven, and I went to the Chiefs game, and it was -6.
Wind
Oh
chill
my
negative
goodness.
30.
No,
They stayed
there's
for
no
10
way.
minutes and went home.
Kyle, don't say that. The public doesn't know that. Shut up.
Shut up, Kyle.
They didn't.
You're not supposed to say that out loud.
Alrighty. Do you want to do a quick introduction? Quickly tell people who may not be familiar with you and your journey a little bit about it, and I'll just start with a quick intro. Is I don't know why, but you came across my Instagram feed, and I was literally blown away. I think the first video I saw of you, Nikki, was where you were on the dock. You had gotten out of the boat, and I was like, literally awe-inspired that you would be comfortable enough and brave enough to post that, to be able to share your story, because I know your story. I can't even imagine how many people your story has positively impacted. So a little bit of history of why you're doing what you're doing.
So I started a journey at 730 pounds, and at that point, I was put on oxygen because I'm only 5 foot in stature, and so I was literally crushing my body from the inside out with the fat. And they told me I had a couple months to live. I was a single mom at the time, and I was making arrangements for my daughters. And then I decided that I needed to change my life. And so I started posting on the internet because my daughter was like, Mom, you need to put this on there. And so I did. And I never realized what was going to happen from there. And today I am 390 pounds. So I have definitely lost quite a bit of weight already, like 345 pounds to be exact.
Yes.
And I just started telling people, do hard things, because I was doing hard things and I never realized what that was going to do for the world.
How old is your daughter that encouraged you to start documenting and posting?
She at the time was 18. She's 27 now. So
So she knew. She could see ahead of time the impact that you could have on people.
yes, she was like, and she would videotape me doing things.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, get out of here. What are you doing? Like, this
She
is
had
not this is not what I want people to see. And she'd be like, Mom, just do it and just post it, because you're gonna help somebody.
Dude.
You're gonna help somebody.
I'm literally,
So-
when you're talking about making arrangements for your kids, that is like fucking terrifying.
That made
Like,
my heart sink.
yeah, that's very scary.
Yes, they said I had 2 months. And so we were I had some friends of mine that were getting making sure that they were going to be taken care of and everything was going to be okay. And luckily, I started to lose weight and started to just get off the oxygen and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I can do this. Do you know what I mean? And it's been a lot of ups and downs. I've documented everything just because I think sometimes out there in the world, people are just trying to be so perfect pictured. And that's not the case. Life is full of hills and valleys, and you're going to fall and you're going to go on a detour on a road, and you just got to keep going. And you got to keep just living, no matter what your heart looks like. Your guys' heart is different from my heart, but each and every one of you boys on here today have a different heart that you face or are facing or going through, or somebody that's going through something. And that's the thing. We just have to keep doing our hard things. Like my hard thing is, just walking from here to the grocery store is a hard thing for me. But for you, it could be something totally different. And you just got to keep going. You have things that happen in this journey. My mom's passed away. In this journey, my daughter has become a drug addict and, has cleaned up and then the drug addict again. In this journey, I lost a baby. I miscarried a child. I mean, you do things along the way and you have to push through that hard no matter what every day. And my hard is this journey. And just in 2022, they told me that my heart was failing and I was not going to live past December of 23. I was going to die. And that's what you saw over the last 90 days of my life. I was like, no, this is not going to happen. You are not taking me yet because I'm not finished.
Yeah, baby.
And
Wow.
so I reversed it and went in for an EKG. And they were like, I don't know what you're doing, but you're off all medications. You're doing great. And I lost 156 pounds in 90 days, 292 inches off my body in 90 days, and 2 dress sizes. That's what I did.
Wow.
To make sure that I am healthy and to do what I have to do. And this time I'm going to keep going because so many people need to know that you can keep going and you can just push through the hardest of your hard. And that video that you talk about, the deck on the boat, I decided I was going to go on a boat. And let me tell you, at the time I was like 500 pounds, like 560, I think to be exact. And a 560-pound person should not really get on a boat. That was really a bad idea. And so I was like, how am I getting on the boat was a chore, but how am I getting off this boat? Like we couldn't figure out how to get me off the boat. Like it was a serious thing. I thought I was going to be stuck on this boat. So I just literally flopped out of the boat onto the deck. And a lot of people have asked me about that video, like, why didn't you just get up and walk? Or why didn't somebody help you? Well, when you're 560 pounds, there's really not a lot of people that can help you up off that floor. You are stuck at that point. And my body was so exhausted from the day's journey that I was like, how I have no choice because I float in the water. So if I could just make it to that water, I knew my body could get some rest and I could walk out and get to the car. And I was like, okay, that's what I got to do. And it was literally that hard to do. And I was like, my goodness, but how can you relate that to life? Like sometimes life is like that, right? You're trying and trying to I was just trying to get to that water. But in life, you're trying to get to that next point, and you just can't sometimes, right? And no matter how much you try and you flop around and you roll and you try to get there, something is in your way and you can't get there. And you just got to push through and get there.
So
And it was kind of scary at one point because I didn't think I was actually going to get there,
like
but
that,
I did.
like that boat video that you're talking about is absolutely incredible. And you've also made other videos like the turning door and the bathroom stall not even that long ago. There's like so many things that you're faced with or have been faced with for a number of years that I think a lot of people relate to that I've never even thought of. Obviously, the things that I deal with are vastly different than the things you deal with. So I think that the content you're making like is connecting with people. They're like, oh yeah, see, I'm not the only problem with this or the only person that deals with this problem. And like you're making the shit, like you're putting the camera in there with you to show like, I'm doing it. You can do it too. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I am. And there's some days you just don't feel like going either, right? And those are the hard days. But you got to remember, like, just being able to go into the restroom. Before, I would have to wait for the biggest stall, obviously, and even then, sometimes I've had a difficult time. And the other day when I was in the restaurant, there was the big stall was out of order. So I had to go in there and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in here. And I didn't have to squeeze behind the door. And I just was like, oh my goodness, I can turn around in here.
room
I'm
to move
so
around.
excited. And it's the little things like that just make you feel so great. And you're just like, oh my gosh, this is why I'm doing this. This is why, because I can live a normal life, right? But you don't become morbidly obese. Like a lot of people are like, well, why did you become morbidly obese? Well, something you need to know is I held a job the whole time. I supported my daughters. I worked. I'm a dispatcher. That's what I do by trade. And I didn't think there was anything wrong with me because I was working. and I never looked in a mirror. True story. Like, you put your makeup on, you look from here up, and you don't really see yourself in a mirror. And I just thought one day I was going to rejoin life and everything was going to be okay. But I didn't realize I'd become so morbidly obese that at 730 pounds, you don't just rejoin life. You can't just get up and go for a hike or go for a walk or a jog. You
Yeah.
got to crawl before you can walk. And that's what I've had to learn. And just like the other day, I
I saw
put a bra
that.
on without a bra extender. And I was like, oh my gosh, do you know what a feeling that is? I was like so excited. And I tried to show the
Right.
world without showing the world. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm just so excited about this. You
You
guys
were
don't
glowing in
understand.
that
Da, da,
video.
da,
You
da,
were
da.
glowing. You could
And, you
see
know,
how important that was to you.
oh,
Yeah.
I was so happy. You don't know. I was so
Yeah.
happy. I was like, "Oh my gosh, look at this." And there's so many things that I've taken for granted, and I didn't realize I took those things for granted. And people were like, "Well, a lot of people say things like, well, she deserves this or da 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 or how do you become that disgusting fat and so on and so on." And a lot of people come to my defense and I'm like, "Look, I get what I look like to the world. I understand what I look like to the world. I understand that morbidly obese people are considered lazy. They're considered, they don't do anything. They just sit and eat cheeseburgers and
Right.
Twinkies. I mean, how many
How
times have
many
you heard
times have
that
I done that
cliche
in
in
life?
life, right?" And part of that is
Yeah.
true, but part
Mhm.
of that is not true either. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people deal with a lot of mental stuff that gets them that way. You know, I have had a lot of mental stuff that has happened to me in my life. I've been raped, molested. I've been beaten by a husband. I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of things have happened. Do you know what I mean? And I chose food. My addiction is food. There is a such thing as an addiction for food. But my drug house, so to speak, is on every corner. There's a
Yeah.
AM, PM, there's a Wendy's, there's a KFC
Yeah.
at every single corner pretty much in the world, right? And you have to eat in order to survive. So to actually develop a different relationship with food is what I've had to do over the last year. And that's what I'm finally learning is that it's okay to push that second helping away. It's okay if I'm not
Yeah.
hungry.
You're
There's nothing
incredible.
wrong
I
with me if
think
I'm
that
not
it's
hungry,
easy for
you
people to
know?
cast stones because obesity is such an outwardly visible thing. It's like the person throwing stones has just as many fucked up things about them, if not more. It's just may not be as visible that it's easier to hide them. Like the way you look and the way what people see is impossible to hide unless you just don't do anything and don't go out. But I think it's easier for people to cast stones when everybody has the same number of problems. They'll just be covering it up because it's, they may have shitty relationships or, something like that. They have just as many things wrong with them.
Yeah, and my addiction is obviously on the outside of my body, right?
Yeah.
And then as your body changes, I walk with more confidence. I'm more, I can see things are changing and I'm like, wow, for the first time in decades, I've looked in the mirror and I'm like, you are beautiful and you are doing things. And I think people need to know that too. I have some really gorgeous friends and some really beautiful people that follow me on the internet. And they're like, I just don't think that I'm beautiful, or I don't think this, or I don't think that. And I think to myself, everybody suffers with that.
Yeah.
Even as good looking as all of you young kids
Oh my,
are,
thank you.
I'm sure you suffer with that at some point in time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
wow, I don't like the way I look today in this outfit, or I don't like the way I'm looking, when you're doing your modeling or whatever it is that you're doing. And it's hard. And society really, really has us believing that we all have to look like Barbie and Ken, so to speak.
I'm not gonna lie, Nikki.
And
You are literally respectfully, of course, the definition of a bad bitch to me. The self-aware, like the self-awareness, the desire to want better, to be reflective and know, okay, I'm not happy, especially for your daughter. Because you were like answering my questions. You're just answering them, which is perfect. Like one of my questions was like, what changed? What realization did you have? And you were talking about with your daughter. But to be able to realize how unhappy you were and that you needed to do something, and then to not only do that, but to be able to act and execute and change your life is so profoundly beautiful to me. So yeah, I think you are beautiful as well, and I'm very inspired by the self-awareness.
Yeah. I mean, Chase is the one who obviously you came up on his page and he instantly showed us your profile and was talking about how like incredible and how much of an impact that your profile had on him because he wants to make it one of his life goals is to change people's life through fitness and health. And we started looking at your stuff, and we're like, yeah, he was like, should we have her on the podcast? And we're like, yeah, we should try and see if she wants to sit down and have a conversation, because I feel inspired, and I don't even know what I'm feeling right now, but it's good.
Yeah,
But it's
you're,
good.
it's like you're saying.
It's
I,
touching.
the fact that your slogan is "Do hard things." I like my first message I sent you. I get goosebumps when I think about that. It is so universally applicable. It doesn't matter if you are literally an elite athlete or you weigh 730 pounds and you need to start today so you don't die. Do the hard things. How did that come to you, or what made you realize that that's what you were doing? What made you verbalize do hard things? Because I love that.
You know, because everything I do at that weight, at 730 pounds, was hard. Um, just to walk, to get my own food or get my own drink was hard. Like my body literally was aching from my toes to my hair, no
Yeah.
exaggeration. And it was a hard thing. And I just realized I was like, do hard things. I just had to tell myself to get through that.
Yeah.
I had to tell myself to get through the pain. Like there was days that I would get cramps in my legs, and my daughter was an athletic trainer, so she would know how to roll them out, and she would have to roll me out in the middle of the night, and I would be screaming in pain because I never felt that before,
Yeah.
you know. And I was like, I just got to get through this hard thing. If I can just get through this hard thing, I can get to the next thing. And before I knew it, I was just saying in almost every video I did, do hard things, do hard things. And people were like, do hard things. That's what you do.
Yeah.
Like, you
Nobody got
know,
nothing.
our hard, everybody's hard, like I told you earlier, is different than everybody else's hard.
So beautiful.
And we all face a hard.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's up to us to change what that hard is. It's so easy to say, oh, I just can't do it, or I'm not like the Jones down the road, you know, I'm not blessed, I'm not this, I'm not that. Nobody understands my life, nobody understands that this or that. Well, you know what, get off the pot already. Get off of it and do it, because if you just take it minute by minute and you break your day down minute by minute, you would be surprised by the end of an 8-hour day what you can accomplish mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, because that's what you're working on in life. And that's what you have to do. Because if we don't do those things, we're going to stay complacent where we're at. And if I didn't do those things, I would have been
Yeah.
dead. And then where would have my daughters been? Especially the one that turned to drugs. Where would she have been? Because I was there for her. I held her hand during some really tough times of her life. And, you know, people are like, oh, you just don't understand. I just can't do this. I can't do that. Well, if you keep telling yourself you can't, then you're not going to do it. But if you tell yourself, do this hard thing, or do this hard thing, or we can do hard things together, then guess what? You can
Yeah.
do it. And so many people say every day, you know, there was a person that was really bad depressed, and she had written me, and she was like, because of you, I got up and took a shower
Yes.
today. And do you know what that means to me? That means to me that, wow, I changed her life for one
Yep.
day. That means one day her kids got to enjoy her because I took the step. Because I took the step, she was able to take her kids to school that day and be present with her kids that day. And then there was another lady that said she was walking somewhere down a path, and there was a lady walking, and she was huffing and puffing, and she was having a hard time, right? And she looked at the lady and she said, you're doing it. She says, you're doing hard things. And that lady turned and looked at her, and she said her face lit up, and she said, like Nikki.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my gosh. She's like, you don't realize that you're paying you what an effect you're having
Yeah.
on people, because they just want to do that hard thing, whatever it may look like. So don't give up on yourself. Just keep going, because God didn't create us just to be here and just to get through life to get back to heaven, right? He created us to help others. And I think people forget to
Yeah.
help others. They forget that everybody has something that's going on, everybody feels something, right? So we have to do the hard things in order to get to where we need to go for the next part of our lives. And what my goal is over the next 90 days is to crush 160 pounds this time. But not only that, to impact the world and show them that I didn't give up. Because on this journey, I've gone up and down, up and down, up and down. I never saw 730 again, but I did get back up to 568 again. And I don't want to do that. I want to keep going, and I want the world to see the end result of what hard work really looks like and what doing the hard thing really looked like for me in my life. So then maybe they can apply
Yes,
it
you are
to theirs.
absolutely creating a positive impact and leaving this world better. And that's what I was going to say. Like, by doing it, by going through all the hard things you're doing is definitely better for yourself, but by putting in the effort to share, it is making an immeasurable impact and changing people's lives more than anything else. And I think that's really beautiful. And I did notice that you do often break things down into 90-day segments for like goal purposes. I was going to ask, what are your next 90-day goals, which you answered, which is to lose 160 pounds, which is a whole nother person, by the way. And I think that's beautiful. What are your goals? Do you have a bigger idea for your goals for 2024 in general?
I do actually. I would like to be able to tell the world more about doing hard things and help the world more. Just because so many people suffer with whatever their heart is and whatever it looks like. And that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm going to accomplish that this year. I am Nikki will be a name that not because of Nikki, but because of doing
Yeah.
the hard things and helping each other. And, you know, I'm sure there'll be lots of trials and tribulations this year, as always, but I'm sure there's going to be lots of triumphs and
Yes.
celebrations as well with people. And I just want to help and pay it forward and for people to know that you can accomplish anything. So definitely my goal weight, which I've never really so many people have asked and I've never released, is it's journey to 130. So we're looking at 130 pounds by the time I'm done. And that's where the
Well, you're only
doctors say
five
is a
foot.
healthy
You're
weight.
you're yeah,
And
you're
that would be
vertically
six.
challenged. So yeah.
You got him.
Yeah. Like challenge. Thanks, because my kids tell me that all the time. In fact, my girls are like, "I think you're more like 4'11", mom." I'm
Yeah.
like, "No, I'm 5 foot." Thank you. My driver's license says 5 foot, and then they're like, "Well, what
Yeah,
does
we
the
don't go
weight
by
say on
that.
your
We don't go
driver's
by that.
license?" Because my driver's license never
Hey,
said
all the women
730.
lie
In
on
case
theirs.
you're
Even
wondering.
Steven lies on her license too.
I do.
All right.
See, so that's just
Yeah.
and
Wow.
that will be
That is
600 pounds
fucking
lost
incredible.
by the time we're done.
That is incredible. I do have a
Nappy
couple
her.
things. So I think you're definitely like in general, you're having a positive impact. But I think what a lot of people need are the specifics. So I do want to get into a couple things. Broadly, what if you had
Mhm.
to sort of sum up the difference in your thought process? Because on Instagram, you're new Nikki. What were the thought processes and emotional places of old Nikki? And how do you, like, reflecting back, how is new Nikki different? How does she think differently and how does she feel differently about things to keep this journey going?
So with old Nikki, I was carrying a lot of hurt and pain, and gosh, and I just was going through the day to day of life, kind of just like a minion, right? Just got to get this done, got to get this done, take care of my girls, work, etc., etc. And with new Nikki, as each wasn't always morbidly obese. In fact, I
Oh,
was
fuck yeah.
pretty hot when I was younger. Um, I forgot who that girl was, but I can't go back to that girl because so much has changed in my life. But a piece of me does come back. I recently went to Vegas to go stay with my dad for a little bit, and that I don't know, just a piece of me comes back with new Nikki. Like it's hard to explain unless you're actually experiencing it or you actually have changed your mindset
Yeah.
to the point of like you don't think the same. And I've had to change that relationship with food. I've had to change that relationship in all aspects of my life. And so just a piece of me starts coming back each day, just like the bra and you saw the glow and the excitement, right? Those are the things that just come back and light your life back up. And you're able to walk into a grocery store and your mindset just changes. You change, your heart changes. You, and then it just, people can see that change. And I think that the biggest thing is that I
Yeah.
don't think that I can't anymore, but I know I can. And if I just like the boat dock thing, it was kind
You
of
did.
impossible, a defeat, but I got through it and I did it. So even if I have to roll, crawl, whatever I have to do to get it done, I know I can do it. So I think it's just
Yeah.
a matter of
That is
believing that
awesome.
I
And do
know
you
I can do
have,
hard things.
when you're in that moment, when you're faced with the hard thing
Do
or not doing it or doing it, do you have any tricks, like any mental or emotional tricks or things that you use in that exact moment to help you dive into it and just tackle that problem?
I do actually, and sometimes it's just pleading with God,
Yeah.
honestly. It's just like, please, can you get me through this? Just help me get through this. And I just tell myself that I can. And, sometimes when you're going through physical or emotional pain, it feels like it's the end of the world, honestly. And it feels like you cannot take another. You just can't do it. Do you know what I mean? And there is times that I feel like that I am at despair and I cannot do it.
Yeah.
But I know that if I just tell myself, I can do this. And then honestly, I know that sounds so stupid, but I just keep saying, do this hard thing, do this hard thing, do this hard thing sometimes in my mind. And sometimes I'll say it and I get through it. And am I sore? Am I in pain? Am I crying on the floor? Am I, do you know what I mean, ready to shut down? Yes, because that is just part of what you have to do in life. Jiminy Christmas, just keep going.
I
Yes.
like
You
that.
gotta push
Yeah, I
through
like that.
because you're going to get to that other side. It's no different than an athlete running the biggest marathon. You see their pain and on TV, on their in their face, right? You
Mhm.
can see that they physically almost can't make it anymore, but they do it. So they're telling themselves something. They're getting through some way. Whether it's you're pleading to God, you're talking to yourself, you're giving yourself a self pep talk, you got to do
Yeah.
it. But you can't during the time that you're going through the hard time, whatever it may be like, oh, I can't do it. I just can't do it. I can't. No, you can't tell yourself that. It's no different than somebody having a baby, right? You got to push that baby out. You're not going to tell yourself in the middle of pushing the baby out, I can't do it. No, you have to
I
do
have
it,
to do
right?
it.
You got to do it. Some things in life you just got to do, and you got to push yourself and tell yourself whatever you can get through. You got to cuss at yourself, be mad
Now
at
we're
yourself,
talking.
whatever. Cuss at whoever, Joe Blow, your mom, whoever. Do it, but get through it.
I fucking love it.
That's
Yes,
so
girl.
funny.
You get it. I'm telling you, this mentality, a lot of people just don't understand and they have too many excuses for themselves of, yeah, it's difficult, but the do hard things, you can always do hard things. Your hard thing now might be getting up and literally walking around your house a few steps and then sitting back down. That's your hard thing today. But if you always do those hard things, what you're able to do is going to grow and change and become more and become greater. So yeah, people do live too many excuses. He said, Jiminy Christmas, just
I
do
like
it.
Christmas.
All right.
I'm curious, what are some of those things that you do to shed all that weight? Just because I'm unfamiliar with the story.
I'm sorry,
What
what
are the
was that?
things you're doing? Like what workouts? Is it diet? What do you do for those who aren't familiar with the story?
Well, I've had no surgery, no medical intervention, none
Which I love,
whatsoever.
by
So
the
I've done it
way.
completely 100%. I do a natural shake system, and so I do take 2 shakes a day with some other products like my fruits and my greens. I do collagen and an elixir product, which helps with obviously the
I was gonna
hair,
say it looks
right?
good.
And my
Oh,
eyelashes are
fabulous.
growing back, but those are the beauty. The good thing with that is it helps with the joints, the inflammation,
Mm.
and so I do these products along the way of my journey and my weight loss, which helps me to be the best me. And then I do eat regular food, of course, and I don't tell myself I can't have something because when you start a journey at 730 pounds and you can't, there's no way. People are like, oh, you need to go keto, you need to go this, you need to do that. No, because if you tell yourself you can't have something, I don't know about you, but you tell me I can't have something, guess what? I'm going to
Yeah.
want it
Mhm.
and I'm going to
Yeah.
want it more. So if you tell me I can't have that steak, I'm going to
Mm.
want that steak. But you got to just put it in portions. And so that's what I've learned is portion sizing. There was a time that I quit eating a little bit because a lot of my identities had changed over 2023. My youngest daughter got married, so I wasn't mommy anymore. I was just
Ooh.
mom. My job position changed, which I wasn't used to. And then we all know of the heartbreak, right, with the boyfriend.
Oh,
And so a lot of things had changed with me. And I was like, who am I? and I was sad. My heart was
Yeah.
sad. And I actually quit eating, and I would realize it was 7 o'clock at night. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I haven't had anything to eat." So I just grab a bar, a protein bar from the same company that I get my shakes from, and that's what I've done. And it hasn't been all peaches and creams because I've gone up and down on the scale, and I don't have a perfect solution. I just can tell you what's worked for me, and if you want to try it, do it. And if it doesn't work, then you know what, you didn't lose
Yeah.
anything.
I was really big into experimenting with what my body can do. For example, I fasted for like 5 days straight once. I had no carbs for a such certain amount of time, and then no sugars, obviously. Did you ever experiment at all, and what worked and what didn't work?
I have my granddaughter's dad is a trainer, and so he's not just a trainer. He was like, he specializes with morbidly obese people in particular as well. So he kind of guided me on what to eat, what not to eat, kind of thing. Obviously nothing. So no, I haven't. I'm not one of those people. I'm not a typical fat person, I guess. Oh my gosh, can I say that?
You can say
Oh,
whatever
say
you
whatever
want,
the
Queen.
hell you want.
I'm not you know what I mean? I haven't done like all these diets. Like people are like, "Well, what diets have you tried?" And I'm like, "Well, I did Weight Watchers, I guess, and I do my shakes." Like, but as far as like trying all these other things, no, I've never tried anything like that. So I can't speak from experience on that, other than I can tell you that portion control is the biggest thing. Um and moving your body is a big thing too. It really is.
Sounds like portion control has been like the go-to for you, the go-to technique to help you get control.
It is, that, and that shake that I take first thing in the morning is like the best thing ever, because it gives me the correct nutrition and the correct protein so that my body can function. And I think that's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
you got to remember what you put in your mouth, it actually does matter inside your body.
Of course.
We all love a donut, we all love cake, we all love Twinkies, right? But you got to put the apple and the correct proteins in your body, and the
Yeah.
vegetables, and those kind of things. And I just
My
don't believe
weakness
in
is chips.
limiting yourself. Like you said, no sugars. I mean, obviously I don't eat a lot of sugar, but I don't believe in like I'm just going to be completely carb free. That's impossible for somebody that's my size. So you're going to tell me you're never going to eat a cup of rice again? You're not going to go to Chipotle and get that cup of rice with that burrito bowl? You know what I mean? You're never going to eat a tortilla again? No, that's impossible. So I think
So setting up realistic boundaries and
exactly.
Nikki, something crazy I did was, or would do, I would eat for 5 days or 6 days straight, strict healthy, the vegetables, all the necessities, minimal carbs. And then on a Sunday, I would splurge and eat literally any and everything, snacks, Little Debbie's, everything. And then, I mean, I found good results doing that. And I got to splurge and get rid of,
To get rid of the
obviously, yeah.
cravings and stuff, and that's
Yeah.
amazing. If that's what's worked for you, then that's great.
Actually, I think I got that from The Rock. I think The Rock did that.
No, can I just tell you about The Rock? Oh, I'm going to meet him someday. Me and him are going to meet, and I'm going to work out with that man. I'm telling you,
Hell yeah.
I really am.
I'm pretty
I-
sure
tag
we
that
all
man.
want to. We
Tag
all
that
want that.
man.
I'm pretty sure he has a mobile gym, if I'm
Yep.
not mistaken. So if
Yeah.
you run into him,
Mobile right to where we are, and we all could just work out with him. There we go.
There we
Nikki,
go.
I don't know if you know this, but we're opening up a gym in our goal is to open up a gym in Kansas City in January 2025, and we will absolutely have you out here at the grand opening to come get it with us, because
That would
by
be
then
gangster.
you're gonna be down to, who knows, you might be two-dimensional at that point. You got so skinny, where'd she go?
all this weight
Two-dimensional.
that's flying off of you. Oh my goodness. What's
That
some
would
of the
be
physical things you're
awesome.
doing?
That would be awesome to come down there. So you guys are in Kansas City.
I'm
Yes,
home.
ma'am.
It's
Freezing.
freezing. Yep.
Yeah.
What are Steven had a good question.
What are some of the physical things you're doing to lose all that weight?
Well, I'm about to get back on it with my trainer, but I did post a video the other day of me. I get these ideas in my head, and sometimes I don't think them all the way through. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I just shared that with the world. So I was like, it's a mountain to me, but it's probably a hill to a lot of people. And I was like, I want to climb for my own mind physically, and then my own mind mentally. I want to climb that hill. I want to climb it. I want to climb that mountain. And so that is something that I'm doing this within this next few days, and I'm
Yeah.
going to reach the top. And that will be physically and mentally. But as far as like physical goes, I'm planning just walking more. Walking is extremely hard for me still. I want to be able to go to a mall and go shopping and
Yeah.
walk and not have to find a seat to sit down. Like I went to Caesar's Palace not too long ago around Thanksgiving time, and I was
That's Kyle's home away from home, by the way.
uh-huh.
That's Kyle's home away from home.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
They make fun of me because I like to go to Vegas a lot.
Oh, well, if you guys, I'm going back to visit my dad for a couple months. So if you guys are there, just come on in and we can meet up and we'll go to Caesar's Palace together.
Yes,
There we
home.
go.
Okay.
I just want to be able to walk and not have to stop, or to be able to be in a shop and not have to, oh my gosh, is there a seat? Like there was a video of me, going into Walmart with my daughter, and there was no scoots. There was no little buckets for me to drive. So I had to walk, and I walked all the way in the middle, and I sat down in the shoe department because that was the only seat in the store, right? And I don't want to go through that anymore. I want to be able to walk into a store and shop. Like I haven't been to H&M in forever because there's no seats in that place. Do you know what I mean? So I want to be able to do that. And I want to be able to my goal this year is just to be able to walk and enjoy life and to be able to stand. And if I'm in a line for tickets for something or go to a concert, do you know I've never been to a concert? I would love to go to a concert.
Yeah.
And just be able to stand, right? And not have to worry, oh my gosh, is there seats? Am I going to be okay? So I think
Yeah.
that's what my physical goals are this year, is just to be able to walk and stand on my own 2 feet. And of course, we're going to be doing the workouts down in the dungeon. That's what I call it, the dungeon, and of course, we're going to work on, body parts and things like that, because you have to keep your body in motion.
Yeah. Two things then. One, who do you want to see? If you could see anybody in concert, who would you like to go to?
No, I don't have anybody in particular. I just want to go to a concert.
Yeah.
Well, Weird Al's having
You can
concert.
take me.
Weird
Well,
Al.
I guess I'm not really into heavy metal, so don't take me to heavy metal
No
concert.
heavy
But
metal.
other than that, I would just like to go see anybody. Really,
Yeah.
just
Check out some Cardi
let's
B.
get up there and dance.
Some polka music.
So I was going to say, I think one thing that you are fully aware of, because I feel like it's impossible not to be, if you're on the journey that you're on, it's impossible to not be aware of it. But like Kyle mentioned, one of my greatest joys in this entire world is being able to share the profound positive impact that fitness can have on people. And like what a lot of people don't understand is, and I even kind of have a hard time verbalizing it, but a lot of people don't understand is that when you start to get your shit together physically, how that manifests itself across your mentality, across your emotionality, and across your spirituality. It is literally inexplicably intertwined. They're all four sort of meshed together. And when you start to clean up, the one thing that I found when I was at my lowest of my low was like, I want to be a better man. I want to be I want to be better intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. But when I asked myself, how do I work on those? It was like impossible for me to answer that. But when I said I want to be better physically, that's easy. That's easy to look at compared to those other things and say, what can I do to be better physically? And without even having known it, by being more disciplined in my exercise, by being more disciplined in my diet, the positive ramifications manifested across those other aspects without even having realized it. So I feel like you do a wonderful job. And I think that that is why it's so important, because people don't understand, like, you might be able to be spiritually healthy and emotionally healthy and be physically unhealthy, but you're definitely not your best. When you're physically incapable of being able to go to a concert or walk through the mall with your kids without having to stop, you're definitely not able to literally live your best life because of the physical limitations. And I feel like you do a wonderful job of explaining to people, like, your life gets better. When you get physically better, you get emotionally better and spiritually better.
Well, and the doing the hard things too. Like, you're literally proof that doing physically hard things made it easier for you to handle the hard things outside of physical things, like the emotional things, the life things that hit you hard. You like it shows that it's easier for you to handle those things after doing it. And I think that's what caught Chase's attention, was your little wins are like so important for people to see, so that they can understand that like a win is a win no matter what,
Massive.
It's a huge thing, and like your wins resonate with people, and that's literally what got Chase.
Yeah.
Your win is what got him.
And I was going to ask, what have you seen? What sort of impacts have you seen across the people closest to you since you've started this journey? How have your friends and family been impacted?
And that's, there's a video I'm about to release today that I haven't released yet. Last night, we were having family dinner at my daughter's, at my granddaughter's house, and I got up to get some stuff, and my granddaughter grabbed her mom's phone and was like recording me. And I was like, "What are you doing?" And she was like, "Doing hard things, Grandma." And she's like, "Grandma," and she says it in a way like Grandma does the best hard things or knows how to do the hard things. I can't remember exactly, but I remember watching that video afterwards, and I was like, "Wow!" So I'm impacting and showing them that you can do hard things at a young age,
Yes.
and that you can accomplish anything. And they watched this grandma that they've known. My grandson's 11, so he definitely has watched his grandma that he's known just sitting on the couch, moving, not doing anything, to actually picking them up from school now and from doing things. And like he took the video of me vacuuming the floor the other
Yeah.
day, right? And I think that that's the biggest thing, is that I'm teaching them that they can do hard things. But not only that, I'm teaching my daughters, especially my one with addiction, that you can kick an addiction. And if I can kick this food addiction and actually see the end result, then maybe she will be able to see that she doesn't have to put that needle in her arm, and that she can do hard things herself and kick her addiction completely,
Yes.
100%.
And if you and
And I think that's the biggest thing, is that I want my kids to know that no matter what, A, I did not give up. B, I tried everything. I may have failed a few times, but I tried everything. And I think that that's what my family sees right now. And they see that impact, and they see, wow, and then it's been kind of hard for them too, because they're used to me always being there and not being away. Like when I left for Vegas, they were like, "What do you mean you're going to Vegas
right.
by yourself?" Like, do you know what I mean? Like, wait a minute, mom's not here. My sister, my friend's not here. My grandma's not here. Like, what the heck? Do you know what I mean? How do you think you just get to leave us?
Hey,
Do you
she's
know
out
what
here
I'm saying?
living life.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And I think, it has a different impact on that, because when we are morbidly obese, like I am, we are a burden on our family. I mean, we're not supposed to be a burden. I guess that's the wrong word, but people do have to
Yeah.
help us, and people do have to do things for us. And and then when you start becoming independent and they don't have to do so much anymore, like my youngest daughter, who just barely got married last year, she did everything for me. Do you know what I'm saying? She would get my water, she would do this, she would do that. And then when I started not needing her so much, she was like, "What do I do? Like, where do I say, go live your life, sweetheart, because that's what you need to do. Go spread your wings, create your family, create your empire, because that's what you're supposed to do. You were never meant to take care of mom." But she was the one that, when I got hemorrhoids really bad, she had to help me with that, because people, and then when your fat rolls are changing, there's a lot of stuff that goes on with all this. And she had to
Yeah.
help me. Or if I thought there was something wrong, in my private area, she would have to look, because I couldn't see down there. Do you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, I mean, she was like, "What do I do with myself?" So yes, my family has been impacted positively and negatively. And that goes with me changing too, because it's had a lot of an emotional effect on everybody
Yeah.
as well.
I think that it's impossible to know. Like the way I think about it is, as we move through this world and live our life, we have impact. Everybody we interact with, everybody who um, we come across, and by you posting, that reach is infinitely bigger. But we have an impact, and I think it's impossible to understand how positive and how far your positive impact reaches, Nikki. It's beautiful. Lastly, Justin, we'll close it up here. You've shared a tremendous amount of I think inspiration. If you had one more message to send to the world, or some important piece of advice, what would it be?
Honestly, I think it would be, do your hard, whatever it may look like, and don't give up on yourself. And don't allow people's perceptions of you to become your future. And don't listen to that chaos in your head. Because if we listen to that chaos in our head, we can't get to our true heart's desires, because our head's full of all the worldly things that we have put in there, and the negative is in there, and it just replays sometimes. And I think sometimes you have to fight through the hard to not listen to that chaos, to listen to your true heart's desires, and be kind to people, because you never know what a person is going through. A person can look perfect on the outside, but they're actually suffering on the inside.
Yeah. Well, I love that. Well, thank you so much. Do you guys have any other questions?
No, that was beautiful, and I feel inspired to do more for not only myself but the people around me as well. And you know, like you said, everyone's hearts are different, and I think you have a beautiful message, and I think you have a literal what is it? What am I? Word am I? Like quote message to do hard things. I think that's something that a lot of people can get behind. It's easy to understand. It makes sense for a lot of people, and I think you can do something big with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's
I think you're doing a good job putting just obesity out there and giving people perspective on it and raising awareness on it. So, and because there's a lot of that in my family too. So I appreciate what you're doing. I don't know if that's what you're trying to do or if that's just a byproduct, but you're doing a good job and I appreciate it.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like I need to go do hard things now. I feel extra soft. I need to like you're inspired me. I'm like, man, I'm just sitting here talking. I need to get up and do something now.
Right, Jesus.
I
yeah,
don't know
keep
what
it
we're
up,
doing.
Nikki. I think 2024 is going to be your best year yet. I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
see anything but a upward trend on the socials and a downward trend on the scale. You're absolutely killing it, and I am very inspired. And I can't thank you enough for taking the time to be here with us today. And I think we should do it again sometime.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
please.
Most definitely. I am so honored that you guys asked me. I looked at your page and I was like, this guy's got to be fake because you guys are just
Oh,
absolutely
stop.
gorgeous.
Oh, it's him.
And you're really are
Him,
gorgeous
him.
people.
Thank you.
And I was like, these kids got to be fake. They're going to play some kind of prank on me.
And I would never.
Never.
I would never. No, you're absolutely.
Wholehearted people, kids. And you know what? You guys are impacting the world too because you have beautiful faces, beautiful bodies, but you are kind hearted. And don't forget that you are being kind to people and you are doing hard things by being kind to people and helping others do hard things. And I think that that's amazing. And I was honored to be on here with you guys. And yes, next year we're going to hit that gym together when you guys open it. It'll
Let's get
be
after it.
Yes,
Ready.
absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you so
Awesome.
much, Nikki. We'll have you stay on here. I think Kyle needs to download it so we don't lose the recording and all that.
Yeah.
So we'll have you in the waiting lobby. So don't hang up yet. But we'll let you know when that's done.
okay. Great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Queen.
Thank you,
Thank
Nikki.
you so
We
much.
appreciate it.
Love you.